Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have 3 stories for you today. But before we get started, could you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out. Okay, now let's get started. Our first story comes from Potential Ratio 2775. Am I the beehole for making my husband miss his best friend's wedding? I, a 37-year-old female, and my husband, a 32-year-old male, expect our first child in the next few months. It has taken us a long time to get here, as I struggled with infertility issues, so while the pregnancy was wanted, it was a surprise when it happened. My due date falls a week before my husband's best friend's wedding. 2 hours away from where we live, my husband is the best man. When I mentioned to my husband he likely couldn't attend, he didn't seem to understand. I told him how it's still too far out to know, but there was a real possibility I would be waiting for labor to begin, in active labor or just getting home at this time. I told him I didn't feel comfortable with him being that far away in any of those situations, but he seemed to take it just as a joke. He has made comments about getting a private jet back if I go into labor that day, or just sending his mom over to help me if I'm a few days postpartum. I understand this is an important event to him, but with the unknown, I'm not comfortable in confirming. He can go at this point, and I'm looking for reassurance that he understands that. I understand I could likely go into labor early, giving a long enough window. I would feel more comfortable with him leaving me for a period of time, 8-ish hours, returning back and not staying over, but that's the only situation I see that is possible for him to attend. For some clarity, I'm not trying to say he can't go 100%, I'm asking him to understand there's a very real situations. That mean he may not be able to go whether the baby is here or not. Pregnancy complications would void the idea he can go if the baby is here, doctors saying the baby is coming any day. Or, you are high risk, would void him being able to go if the baby isn't here. No signs of labor on that day. Early delivery, where I'd be at home, settle for a weekish with other support, completely okay. It feels like I'm being forced to shoulder the burden, and the anxiety of a very complicated situation versus having my feelings validated. That we may not know what's going to happen now, but there needs to be a real, yet flexible plan. Clarification, the wedding is 5 days after my due date, and the FTM usually goes longer than 40 weeks. Personally, I don't think you're the beehole, but I also think you kind of handled it poorly with your husband and telling him straight out no. And I get it, you're pregnant and you're worried, and you want your spouse to be there to help you. But I do think you should just let him go. Like I read in the story, it's only 2 hours away. Just make sure he doesn't do anything like drink, so if something does happen, he can, rush back home. Or to the hospital, and, help you out with your pregnancy and be there for your child's birth. But yeah, I think this is just one where you guys need to sit down, talk this out, and I think you'll be fine. Our next story comes from Silverhalf6527. Am I the beehole for losing my temper with my parents and sister and telling them they should just take everything I have, including my clothes, since she deserves it all so much? I'm a 16-year-old male, and I have a sister who is 14. My sister was diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia when she was 6, and she had an ongoing medical need for 5 years. She's been healthy for the last 3 years and returned to normal. My parents put me on the back burner in a major way, and they were not there for me. I was either bounced around to different family members, or I was left alone. My birthday was forgotten a few years, and Christmas was about her, and I was asked to put effort into making sure she had all the gifts and joy she could get because it could be her last. I was miserable, and I know none of us are happy, but I really felt like I was basically there as a prop, to try and cheer her up sometimes. She would ask for stuff, and they would move heaven and earth to get it, and sometimes it was stuff I had. Before she had gotten sick, my parents had bought me this beanbag chair for my room. That was probably more expensive now that I think about it, and they gave it to her. When I brought home a treat from school, they would ask/tell me to give it to my sister to cheer her up, and sometimes she would ask for it. When I didn't bring home something from school for a while, they would ask me if I ate it, like it was some crime I committed. We went to see Santa a few years after she was sick, and I got the better cheap toy. That we swapped because I couldn't have something a little nicer than her, which meant I got stuck with a lot of jewelry making kits or sparkly pink stationery kits. Last Christmas, I got clothes while she got a new phone and a Switch skin. I turned 16 in June, and I had saved to buy a gaming laptop. It was a lot of my saving wages and buying nothing, but I really wanted it. My 2 best friends decided to forego buying me something and gave me the money to get it, and they came with me to pick it up. Last week, my parents and sister were in the living room when I got home from school, and my parents told me my sister wanted to play games with her friends. Computer games. And they thought, since I had a gaming laptop, I could just give it to her, since it would make more sense than going out and having to buy a new one. When I didn't answer right away, they were like, "Oh well, of course you could always share it between you," and I lost it. I started yelling and cursing. I told them of course she should effing have it. Why the F not? I went into my room and took my clothes and said she should have all that too. I said, why not take my bed and give it to her as well, then pointed out she had a new bed and my bed was 12 years old. I told them to take everything I owned, since she deserves it all, and I don't deserve shite, because I never got sick as a kid. My sister didn't say a word, and my parents were shocked, but then they were pretty pissed at me, and asked me what the hell I was behaving like that for. Things have been tense since then. Though, I still have my laptop. Am I the beehole? No, you are not the beehole. You know what? That does suck that your sister was sick with leukemia, and I get that. I get wanting to, focus on her for a bit. I get it. But that doesn't mean you should completely neglect your other child. You have two children. Take care of your children. When my grandmother was sick with cancer in the hospital, my parents still found a way to celebrate my birthday because, we went there on my birthday. I still got my presents. I still had, a little party. Even family members who normally weren't there were there because they were here to see my grandma. Sadly, I don't think there's really much you can do right now because you're underage. You're going to have to just stand your ground and keep working and saving your money, because when you hit 18, you're probably going to want to dip ASAP. You're going to have to put it somewhere your parents don't know, because they seem like the people who would take your money and buy something for your sister. I would also say try talking to someone at the school. Maybe they can help you out. A counselor or something like that. But I was thinking, if I were you in that situation, I would make all those plans and I would leave and probably go no contact. I know it's maybe a little messed up, but it sounds like they really don't want to have anything to do with you, because it's insane how much they're neglecting you, even after she's recovered. I hope you can get out of there, OP. Stay safe. Our next story comes from Flat Blueberry 4469. Am I the beehole for abandoning my daughter on vacation? My wife and I have always dreamed of celebrating our 40th anniversary with a luxurious vacation. Just the two of us, reveling in the romance of our early years. We've had it all planned out for years now, and we're excited beyond words. Enter our adult daughter Jane, and Jane and her husband got wind of our plans and promptly invited themselves and their two children, a 9-year-old female and a 5-year-old male, along. I originally put my foot down and told them this trip was just for us, which upset her some, but my wife had a hard time saying no to Jane, as she is the youngest of our children and our only daughter, and she didn't want to hurt her feelings, so she reluctantly agreed to let them join. I wasn't thrilled about it at the time, but I wanted to make my family happy, and I knew my wife was okay with the idea of a family trip. Even if she was heartbroken when we wouldn't get our romantic trip, we went along with it. The place was originally going to be not child-friendly, so we changed course and decided on an all-inclusive family resort. We paid for the resort and our grandchildren's plane tickets. Jane and her husband only paid for their own airfare. Here's where things get complicated. As the vacation got closer, I started having a change of heart. I realized that our 40th anniversary was a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, and I wanted to honor it in a way that was true to our original plans. My wife and I might not be able to afford a trip like this again for quite some time, and it's something we've always wanted to do. So, without consulting anyone, I switched our tickets last minute to the romantic destination that my wife and I had originally planned for. I did not tell Jane or her husband. I didn't even tell my wife until the day before our flight left, which was the day before Jane's flight left for their vacation. It wasn't an easy decision, and I feel guilty about it, but I wanted our 40th anniversary to be the special, intimate celebration we had always hoped for. We called Jane after we landed to tell her, and she was extremely upset, to say the least. She seemed of the idea we were going to look after our grandkids so her and her husband could have time alone. And now that I abandoned her, they would have to do it all by themselves. I hung up on them when my son-in-law started shouting, and my wife and I enjoyed the rest of our trip. They came back the same day we did, but have not answered any of our texts, and Jane seems to be ignoring me. My wife told me she vastly preferred our trip to the family trip we would have taken. But she still doesn't like how Jane is mad at us and wants me to apologize. I'm not sure I want to after learning Jane and her husband were using us for free babysitting and a free trip. But I feel like I should just do it to keep the peace. Am I the beehole for changing our trip destination the last minute and leaving Jane and her family to fend for themselves? First of all, you are not the beehole, and I am proud of you. I like that little switcheroo you did. That was really good. And also that ending line, you left them fend for themselves. You left them at a nice resort, a family resort. Oh my god, they have to watch their children? That's evil of them to do that to you. They know it's your 40th anniversary. They force you to choose your, to mess up your plans, and now they want you to babysit their children while they go have fun? Not on their 40th? No, you are not the beehole. I seriously, I said in the beginning, but yeah, that was a beautiful thing you did, switching it up and going and enjoying your vacation with your wife. Oh yeah, I missed that. You paid for their vacation to the resort. You have nothing to feel, guilty or ashamed about. Personally, I also think you have nothing to apologize for about. Also, about the apologizing part, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't apologize. You did nothing wrong. You have nothing to apologize for. They're still mad at you after they got a free vacation off of you? They should be the ones apologizing to you. They almost ruined a good milestone in your life. And congratulations on 40 years of marriage. That's insane. That's awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, OP, and stand ground. Don't you dare apologize. I wouldn't. They're the ones who need to apologize to you. All right, everybody, and that's another video down. Please do what I said in the beginning, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Velvet out.